Dr. Ambedkar has explained in his book, Castes in India, that why women who lost their husbands were either killed by sati or forced into widowhood and subsequently mistreated. This grim reality was a reflection of the deeply entrenched patriarchal and Brahmanism-governed society. In general, in a community, there is an equal number of men and women. This balance is crucial for the social structure and the continuation of the community's lineage. For a group that desires to remain as a distinct caste, it is important to maintain this balance of men and women. The caste system, with its rigid boundaries, relies heavily on this equilibrium to ensure that marriages occur within the caste, preserving its purity and traditions. If this balance is not maintained, the internal marriage system within the caste will collapse, and marriages outside the caste will increase. This would lead to the dilution of caste identity. This created fear among the Brahmins. For this balance to remain intact, both husband and wife must die at the same time. But this is something that cannot happen all the time. The natural course of life and death does not adhere to such rigid expectations. If a woman remains in the group after her husband dies, she may disrupt the marital customs. Her presence as a widow poses a threat to the established norms and the purity of the caste. She might engage in relationships with men from other castes and even give birth to children. This would be seen as a contamination of the caste lineage, something that the community could not tolerate. To prevent this, she must be eliminated. The community resorted to extreme measures to ensure that the widow would not disrupt the social order created by Brahmins. There were two methods to eliminate her, both equally harsh and inhumane. The first method was to burn her along with her deceased husband on the funeral pyre, thus making her disappear. This practice, known as sati, was seen as a way to ensure that the widow would not pose a threat to the community's social fabric. Although this was in practice for centuries, it was difficult to implement. The act of forcing a woman to die in such a brutal manner required a level of cruelty that not everyone could muster. The second method was to force her to live as a widow for the rest of her life. This meant a life of isolation, deprivation, and social ostracism. Her miserable condition as a widow explained that this woman no longer had the natural right to become someone's wife in the future. She was marked by her attire, her shaved head, and her overall appearance, which was deliberately made unattractive. The appearance of a widow was deliberately made unattractive so that she would not be a source of desire. This was a way to ensure that she would not remarry or engage in any relationships. The cruelty and inhumanity of these practices are beyond comprehension. Before the rise of reform movements, before the existence of Raja Rammohan Roy, Periyar, Ambedkar-like leaders, for how many centuries, the women were cruelly oppressed in the name of caste and tradition, simply because they were women. Only the reform movements brought a glimmer of hope in the life of women. They challenged these oppressive practices and advocated for the rights and dignity of women. Reformers like Rajaram Mohan Roy, Periyar, and Ambedkar played a crucial role in bringing the change. They fought tirelessly and abolished practices sati and worked hard to convince the people for widow marriages, women education, and women empowerment. Their efforts laid the foundation for a more just and equitable society. Today, we see the fruits of their labor. Women are no longer subjected to such extreme forms of oppression. They have the freedom to live their lives with dignity and respect. Thank you for watching and follow us for more.